first game, we decided to make something that was very big and epic and a little bit cold and, dramatic. And this time we decided we wanted to take it in a slightly different direction, just because we'd already done like the big, fancy period piece epic, and make it a little more intimate and a little more familiar, which meant, spending more time with different characters and getting to know them a little bit better. So there was definitely room this time around for deeper character development, both of our main character and of the people that he interacts with. And so that was new and exciting for me. It was fine. I was actually very happy when Kristen did it, because I feel like in the first game we hid what I feel is the premise, and wound up, a lot of people wound up thinking it was some sort of twist, when in fact from day one we knew that right away at the beginning of the game you would know it took place in the present. So I was actually personally happy that she had started getting it out there, even if everyone else was sweating bullets. Try and remember. The genetic memory sort of evolved out of this desire on Pat's part to once again frame the game in such a way that the telling of the game became an excuse for a lot of the gameplay mechanics. And so the idea of genetic memory and the animus just sort of evolved out of that. Like, how can we take traditional gameplay elements and give them a narrative justification so that we minimize the amount that's video gamey and maximize the amount that's just about immersion and experience. And so it just sort of evolved out of that. We knew we wanted to stay away from time machines, but we also knew that we needed to travel back in time. And so there was just a lot of back and forth, a lot of brainstorming, and eventually the animus was just born out of that. So in terms of Leo's gadgets, it was based on a lot of different stuff. Like, we looked at a lot of Leo's sketchbooks. We also looked at what we wanted in terms of gameplay. It's tough to say too much without spoiling it, because Leo is half of the equation, but the other half of the equation, I think they've talked about this, is the Assassin's Codex, which is a collectible that appears in the game that Ezio retrieves parts of, and it's basically the Assassin's Bible, for lack of a better term, and it speaks extensively about the Hidden Blade and modifications to the Hidden Blade. And so while Leo may not come up with the specific ideas himself, he's the one that's able to utilize his expertise and mechanical know-how to repair, enhance, and upgrade the blade. There are not in this game, but perhaps down the road we may be able to do some sort of DLC pack that focuses on like Leonardo's weapons of war. It's interesting though, because he did not enjoy making war machines, even though there's a couple of them in his sketchbooks. He was supposedly a vegetarian. He was pretty much a pacifist, and did not enjoy some of the applications of his work, as is I think sometimes or often the case with people like Leo. It's a fairly linear narrative. What'll happen as you proceed through the game is at certain points events will occur that will open up different types of side missions. But I think this story is even more linear than it was in the first game. One of the problems I at least ran into in the first game is that at certain points the world would open up, and there were in some cases 2, in some cases 3 people you could assassinate, and what we ran into is that since you could assassinate them in any order, there was only so much story progression that could occur before returning you to the bottleneck. If you kill this one guy before you do this person, then the information that we reveal can only be, X, Y, or Z. And so we played a lot with explaining justifications for behavior, but not so much moving the main narrative forward. And so this time around, we decided to actually make the main narrative path super linear, but then along the way we provide alternate ways to sort of branch off and explore and play out side stories. I did not write the flag dialogue. I believe Patrice actually wrote the flag dialogue, so I wash my hands of that nightmare of collectibles that I had nothing to do with. We have our own version of the flags in the sequel. It's a little bit different. It does have a narrative justification. I'm hoping it doesn't prove quite as upsetting to people. There are rewards, but I will agree it's intentionally almost as bizarre in terms of its justification, but we had a little bit of fun with it, and it's a little mysterious. It's really cool, and everyone should buy it and play it and not write terrible things about me on the internet.